Hey, thanks for joining us here on the playoff version of Game Time as we start the postseason this weekend. I'm Maurice Patton with Chip Cirillo, the prep sports team here for the Tennessean. Going to get you, like we said, into the playoffs. 5 weeks on the road to Cookville. Get it started. And you can help us out in two ways. One, check us out on Tennessean.com/game time. We'll have pregame, halftime, and postgame videos from different games around the mid-state that we're covering, and we'll have scoring updates as well. And hashtag TN Game Time on Twitter and on Instagram. Send us your images, send us your thoughts from wherever you are on these Friday nights as we go through the playoffs. Get us your players, your cheerleaders, your bands, and your fans. Give us your Friday night experience. We'll get you ours, and this will be a fun 5 weeks here. Big game this weekend. Obviously they're all big, but one of the bigger games in Class 6A is Franklin and Station Camp. Station Camp is the number 2 seed in 6A. Franklin is the number 7 seed after getting off to a 7-0 start. Kind of stumbled late, lost back-to-back 1-point games in their district, and rallied back with a big win last weekend against Centennial. But interesting matchup.
Yeah, both teams 8-2, I think, and of course the big player in the game is Josh Malone from Station Camp, one of the nation's top receiver prospects. And I was talking to Franklin coach Donnie Webb, and he was telling me their top four cornerbacks, none of them are taller than 5'8". Josh is 6'3", so that's a 7-inch advantage. So that's a huge challenge for those kids. And he says they'll use a safety over the top to help out. A player that good, you almost have to do something like that.
They'll absolutely have to bracket him, like you said. And Malone, get this. Last year he had like 28 catches for like 400 yards, I think. This year he's got like 57 catches for 1,100 yards, 16 touchdowns. Got another 200 rushing yards. I think he's got like 18 and 19 touchdowns all year, interceptions, kickoff returns. So obviously this is the guy. And I think Franklin's best way to cover him will be not to let Josh Anderton get the ball off. They're going to have to get some pressure on him, and they're going to have to take care of the ball when they've got it on offense as well. But Malone is an absolute game breaker, and I'm not sure that the Rebels have an answer for him. Another big 6A game, Independence goes up to Rossview. Rossview is the number 4 seed in their quadrant. They are 9-1 as well. Lost to Henry County 29-27 in a Big Ten AAA game. Their only loss of the season. Independence 7-3 coming in. They're the number 5 seed. Obviously, we've been talking about Independence all year and those 3 Southeastern Conference commitments they've got in the defensive secondary. Rashawn Galden, Vic Wharton, and Finest Stribling. Rossview is going to come in and they're going to look to run the ball. Charles Talleyrand, the quarterback up there, he's got about 1,800 offensive yards. Isaiah Johnson, a junior, has rushed for about 1,900 yards, so they're going to want to pound the rock and take that secondary out of it as much as they can.
Yeah, like you said, Rossview did probably their best season they've ever had, and what a great! This is probably one of the best first round matchups we have, and Independence having a really good year too. So two. They probably wish they would have met later in the playoffs, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Absolutely. Another big game here locally in Nashville. McGavock goes to Overton. Overton 10-0, the number 1 seed in their quadrant. 2 weeks ago, beat McGavock at McGavock 32-3. So Jay Gore went back to the drawing board quick, I guess, to try to figure something out. But at the same time, Overton comes in with Justin Martin, who's got over 1,600 rushing yards and is another big-time game breaker. And Kimberly North really picked things up for them as well in that game a couple of weeks ago. It'll be interesting to see what McGavock comes up with to try to slow Overton's run game down.
Yeah, I saw McGavock last week, and they do have some quick athletes, and they move the ball well against Antioch and spurts, Cane Ridge and spurts, but just couldn't, the second half really couldn't get anything going. So, huge test against Overton. Ugo Amati, a great cornerback for Overton. So, tough test for McGavock.
Absolutely. Moving down to 4A again here, a big Metro game, especially coming off of last week. Maplewood goes to Pearl-Cohn. Like I said, those two teams just met last week. Big Ten AA game. Pearl-Cohn 59-37, and Sounds like there might have been a little bit of bad blood in that ball game as well.
Yeah, it sounds like the emotions of the rivalry may have just went a little crazy. You hope none of the kids kind of lose it in this game, keep it under control and whatnot. But yeah, it's a big rivalry, and Keyshawn Vaughn. I mean, that's Pearl Cone. That's a tough guy to handle for Maplewood's defense. So
Yeah, and as good as Maplewood traditionally is defensively, Vaughn's going to be a heck of a challenge for him. 2,052 yards and 20 something touchdowns already this year. Probably a Mr. Football candidate in Double A, and he's where it all starts offensively for Pearl Cone. Like you said, getting him slowed down is going to be a big key for Maplewood. Pearl Cone is number one seed in that quadrant. They're 9-1 and being picked by a lot of teams as a favorite to get to Cookeville coming out of the West. So big challenge for Maplewood. In Division Two AA, a lot of teams have byes in this one, but one local team that will be playing, Father Ryan hosts McCallie. McCallie won their first three games, and then they've not won one since, including a 34-18 loss to Ryan earlier this year. So Ryan 6-4 coming in here. Obviously, they don't want to think too much about that big win that they had against the Blue Tornado earlier this year, but yeah, just it'll still be a challenge for the Irish, I'm sure.
yeah, they seem like one of the better Father Ryan teams there's been in the last few years, and they opened a lot of eyes when they upset Brentwood Academy a few weeks back, and Max Stouffer having a good year, and yeah, they just gotta. It's always hard to beat a team twice, and they gotta find a way to do it.
Yeah, Javon Craig, the quarterback from McCallie, threw for 300 and something yards last week in a loss. So they've got some weapons, but Cameron Towns has done a pretty good job at the quarterback spot for Ryan this season, and they're looking to move on. Those are some of the bigger games that we targeted, but again, they're all big this time of year when you get into that win or go home situation. So we'll be keeping an eye on a bunch of them, and you can help us. Like I said, hashtag TN Game Time on Twitter or on Instagram. Send us what you got, where you're at, and like I said, let's have some fun. I'm Maurice Patton. This is Chip Cirillo. Thanks for joining us here on Game Time.